we placed really well, but it really was because we thought beyond the boundaries of what we were given, and thought creatively about, well, how can we actually solve XYZ problems. And I think we did it because we were scrappy. And so even having big teams here, you don't always have the resources. Like, you can't go hire some big agency to go find the answer for you. You gotta be scrappy and figure it out yourselves.
This is the Snarketing Podcast, for marketers by marketers, talking to marketers with just a touch of snark. Now, here are your hosts, Valerie Vespa and Matt Wurst.
Hello, and welcome to this edition, this episode, this exciting, entertaining, informative episode of the Snarketing Podcast. I am Matt Wurst.
And I am Valerie Vespa.
You know what's funny is, Valerie, in emails, my autocorrect is calling you Valeria, and I don't know anyone named Valeria, so can we just now forever refer to you as that?
You can. You and my father. Both.
Oh, was that your like birth certificate name?
It's not on my certificate, but it is in my father's head as far as his Italian-born self calling me Vale. You can call me Vale. Yeah.
Well, we're rebranding as we speak.
It's a whole new me.
Speaking of rebranding, as we are now jumping into this last episode, which we may do an end-of-year wrap-up, so it's the last official interview-based episode with a guest. But there are a lot of things happening. Jaguar rebranded since we last talked. There is an IPG, OMG, ABC, BBD, East Coast Family holding company merger happening. It's just going to be like the VML letter soup with yet another.
Oh, no.
Are we just going to end up with one company at the end of the day, one agency holding company? Is that where we're headed?
That is a wonderful question. I mean, like, if we're going to be serious about this, like, the writing has been on the wall for quite some time. Don't you agree? I mean,
yeah, it's a writing is on a whiteboard wall because these names keep changing and these companies keep evolving. So you have to erase and start over. I mean, I would hate to have an email address that keeps changing every few years.
you have to wonder why Publicis continues to like gain so much traction and winning so many accounts. And I feel like there's like one key reason for that. It's just about,
Stability?
efficiencies.
Ah, okay. The other operational keyword that every company loves. I wonder what it's going to do for creativity. I wonder what it's going to do for media spend. I wonder what it's going to do for job stability.
There has been a diminishing amount of revenue coming from massive holding companies, and we'll probably continue to see that, right? And then that revenue will probably go in-house to a lot of brands themselves and have them handling a lot of the digital stuff, a lot of the retail media network buying, all that stuff, I would imagine, right? And then there's an opening for independent agencies to capitalize on some of the smaller to mid-size brands that needs more hand-holding, more support, right?
I take your word for it. This is certainly your area of expertise. I feel like I just got an education, a graduate level education in the media and marketing business. But you know who really understands graduate level education is our guest today. Michelle Froah. And Michelle, we've been trying to get on for, 7 years, and this podcast is only 2 years old. Ironically, both of us have known Michelle for a very long time, and all of the email invites that we had sent her to be on this podcast ended up in her spam until we saw her and we're like, why are you dogging us? Why are you avoiding us?
You had a complex, actually.
I thought that she secretly hated me, which I don't want to bring up because it may actually be true, but she has agreed to join us, and we are grateful. So Michelle is another one of these all-star Hall of Famer CMOs.
She is such a bright, shining star, and I know she loves you, so don't even think twice. But yes, that was very funny line of communication with her avoiding every email you sent her for the last 2 years.
Let's jump into the episode, and just listener, as we are talking with her, see if you can pick up or detect any hint of anything other than the mutual affection that we all have for each other.
Our final guest of the season is a leader, a force, and a luminary in marketing. Michelle Froah has been an engineer at P&G. She's been CMO at MetLife and is now the marketing and innovation lead at ETS, the educational testing service. And there's no one better to lead us into 2025 than the brilliant leader who both sees big ideas and gets shit done. Back to you, Val and Matt.
Michelle, welcome to the Snarketing Podcast. We are delighted that you've made time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You know, you are possibly the first guest we have on whose background is very diverse from an engineering perspective. And as someone who has no engineering knowledge whatsoever, please keep everything very basic for me. Can you promise that you will do that?
I'll try.
Okay, because like other than like fulcrums and levers, that's basically as far as I got with my engineering background. All joking aside, you do have really an impressive and atypical background and a trajectory from that engineering foundation to now leading global marketing initiatives. How has your path emerged? Like, was this a deliberate turn, or was this something that you kind of grew into?
I think probably more grew into. One of the fortunate things I think I've had over my career is, lots of people around me that were inspiring me to take risk, maybe, and not be afraid of change. Do you guys know the poem "Taking the Road Less Traveled"?
Of course. Robert Frost?
Yes, Robert Frost.
Literary, not engineering. So I'm impressed that you know how to read. No, I'm kidding.
So ridiculous.
But I think one of the lines in that poem, really inspired me, even when I was in high school, which was two roads diverged in a wood. And I took the one less traveled by, and that's made all the difference. And so, I think even going into engineering, like that was definitely a road less traveled by, back in the day, in my day, especially for women. And so the experience that I had being an engineer and actually practicing as a mechanical engineer at Procter and Gamble in a manufacturing plant, I think opened up new roads to travel by and, go down different paths that I didn't think I personally, had exposure to and thought that I could do. But also that, you kind of clear the path for others to follow on more of a less traditional path. And so, one thing I've loved about that path is that it's kind of been twisty and turny, and you don't really know what's around the corner, and that's exciting to learn about new things that you think you didn't think you could do, but also I think it gives you a really a more broad vantage point of experiences, so that you can help solve problems in a new way. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all here to do, right? Is to help solve problems. And so frankly, I think engineers are very well set at problem solving. And, that background of thinking logically through what are the real root causes of problems, and collaborating and bringing people together to solve those problems creatively, has served me well throughout my career. So that's the one piece of engineering that I think I've brought into, even my marketing career. The other one, it's actually a book on my bookshelf back here. It's an analysis and design of dynamic systems. It's kind of one of my favorite books and subjects in mechanical engineering. And just think about all the systems that we have to and how dynamic they are in today's age, of how we need to do not only analysis of what's working well, what's not working well, but also how do we improve those systems.
I
So,
love I love the idea of like this non-traditional, non-linear way to like taking education and then using it in different roles, and like the idea of like what the CMO role is today versus maybe what it was 20 years ago or 30 years
right.
ago is hugely different. So like when you look at the fact that you had a mechanical engineering background, like how has that informed your ability, like maybe even using examples of something where you're like, oh wow, this like really helped inform the way that I approach certain marketing campaigns or certain marketing roles that you had, and maybe even more so like innovation within those roles.
Mm, yeah. Well, again, I think it's informed so many things, not only like how I approach marketing, but I think also from a leadership standpoint,
Mm.
and how you pull in uh, different perspectives to creatively problem solve. So, also to set a vision for yourself or for your campaign or for your brand and be agile in how you're going to go about, achieving that. I
Well,
actually
is it still like a scientific method though that you're doing, or are you leaning in more art than you might have thought with that art science balance?
I think I always describe my approach as I'm a creative engineer, but a practical marketer. And so to that point, Matt, I think that you have to use data and you have to use analysis and be practical in understanding, what the real drivers of success are, or what the real drivers and the root causes of problems might be that you can solve. But the creative engineer part is bringing in different perspectives, bringing in different innovative ways of solving those problems that you people haven't thought of before. And so that's the creative engineering piece of it.
So just, I mean, you talked about the engineering experience at even at P&G. Like, what does an engineer at P&G even do? This is fascinating. Is it like, how do I make paper towels more absorbier? Like, what is the, like, what do you do there? What's an engineer do at P&G?
I have a budding engineer. My son is studying mechanical engineering as
Oh,
well, and I know he's a senior this year. So we're talking we're talking about what do engineers do? What can engineers do? Because he's job hunting himself, and you know what the answer is engineers can do anything. Now they can even be a marketer. How about that? So
something about apples and trees and gravity, not, something like that, right?
Dad's also a mechanical engineer. We didn't stray too far from those trees, did we? Um, but my what I would say what engineers can do, right? In at P&G, my what I started off was in a manufacturing plant, and so engineers came in as manufacturing management and leaders in a plant. They could also come in as capital project managers, right? They could come in as R&D and do research and development. So yeah, exactly to your point, like how do you make a product, whether it's a paper towel or I worked in cosmetics, as well, and make the product more effective. But in manufacturing, where I started, that's where I took so many great learnings, I think, that have stuck with me throughout my career. So that first one really was creative problem solving, and the second one was leadership and learning how to um, value and appreciate a team, while also figuring out how to lead those teams and manage people, sometimes who have a lot more technical application than you personally do. Right. And so you have to figure out what your role is as a leader and help them to remove barriers. And so, even today in marketing is so much more technical than it
Mhm.
was 30 years ago, right? And I have people on my team today that are AI engineers or data scientists or researchers, etc. That and also own the web as e-commerce, and so many more technical people that I can't do what they do, but I can help them, create a vision, remove barriers, have us all have a collective vision, to go achieve that. And so that was my experience when I started in the plant. I was 22, and I came in as a female engineer, had a lot of men, 35. 35 men, 35 plus, that, when I bopped in and said, "Hi, I'm your new boss." I won't tell you what they said, but
This is a safe space, so if you need.
We
but
can assume.
definitely had to learn about, well, I did have a role there. It wasn't to do their job. My role was different, and was, to really set a vision for what we were going to accomplish as a team, and how we could do that together, and how I could help remove barriers for them to do that.
Well, you are a North Star at ETS. You are the Global Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer. So I don't know if everyone knows what ETS is. Can you kind of share a little bit about where you're at and kind of your responsibilities?
So, uh, gosh, there's so much of where we're at. There's so much loaded in that part of the question, Valerie. But the short story is that ETS, has been around for a long time, 75 plus years. Very strong reputation in the educational testing industry. Supported by, and we're a nonprofit, and so a lot of our work has been to deliver on the mission of creating more fair, valid, and equitable assessments. That's backed by research, groundbreaking research, and assessments and related services, so that we can open up opportunities for all. And so, that has played a very big role in people's education and access to education. We have the TOEFL test and the TOEIC assessment, which are English language proficiency. We have GRE, which is a higher ed graduate admissions, and Praxis, which is teacher licensing. And so, with that really strong history, we've been going through the last 2 years of brand and or business, and then brand transformation, and now leading into an innovation transformation to expand our impact. Because, learning doesn't just stop after school, right? After formal learning. And so in the workforce, just like we've been talking about, there's so much upskilling and reskilling that our workforce, needs to stay relevant, especially in this really AI driven environment. And so we're expanding our impact to have ETS really be global education and talent solutions, and enabling us to, drive more impact with a brand transformation that allows us to drive skill proficiency, um, upward mobility for folks, which could be, social, economic mobility, but also for, that access of opportunities for all. I'll take a
So
pause
is
about
well,
some
no,
of
I
the.
so is bringing the brand back to the forefront like a priority? Because I think people know, I mean, the GREs and TOEFL, like those are products and those are brands in and of themselves. But maybe ETS as the circled logo in the upper right hand corner may not always be the known entity or the priority. But as you get into this professional development and certification, putting that brand front and center, is that new, or is it just an evolution of the development of the company itself?
No, I think there's a lot of transformation and newness there too, Matt. So it's, again, historically it's been a very B to I to C business, so business to institution like universities, right, or even states, as an institution, and then to the end user and who the assessment takers are that are taking these assessments, right? So those end users are vast, right? Like teachers are different than international students, Gen Z students, right, that are taking the TOEFL. So you want to have individual brands that resonate with those types of consumers. They can't be the same brand. They don't necessarily care about ETS. They care about the independent brand. But the institutions that are recognizing that as a that assessment as a credential really do care about ATS because of our reputation, and the research that is backed behind all of our products and services. So as we expand in this transformation, we're talking to new audiences, right? Now we're talking to governments, and we're a very global company overall anyway, but now we're talking to governments and doing, another longstanding um, uh, uh, effort that we have is research around, delivered for PISA, for example, or the nation's scorecard. So where we're looking at reading and English and math proficiency across many countries and many students, across the world. That's the PISA report. And so again, we're very renowned for that type of research that helps drive policy, and really establishing that with our ETS Research Institute as a corporate sub brand has been very important to elevate ETS. And then to the new audiences, particularly in the workforce, we recently acquired PSI, which is a credentialing and licensing company. So think about if you needed to be a drone operator or an insurance agent, you need a credential or a license.
I might need both of those in the future,
You
so
should.
that's helpful.
You
Yeah,
might need the insurance in order to be the drone operator, I'm guessing.
probably. Yeah,
And
with my driving skills, definitely.
so that definitely is a new space for us, and a new set of credentialing organizations, et cetera, is a new space for ETS, as well as employers. And so on top of and helping employers do skill um, audits and heat maps of their current employees to figure out how do we open up new job opportunities for people based on skills. And skills could be technical skills, but they also could be durable skills. So we can measure skills like creative thinking or persistency or communication, effective communication, and things like that, and even AI literacy. And those are very important things that employers and employees want to continue to upskill and reskill. And it really opens up new job opportunities for people, maybe even engineers who didn't really realize that they could be a marketer someday, and vice versa, to be more based on skills versus, formal credentials, the historical.
And this is this your first foray into the educational sector as a vertical in your rich background? I know yeah.
It is, and I was drawn to it mainly because of this transformation of expanding what we mean by education into the workforce as well, and lifelong learning. And back to my story of the twists and turns, I think I learned something every time I took one of those turns, and I hope it's made me a better business leader as well as a marketer, because I can put myself in other function shoes and see how we can collectively work together on ambitions and solve for the customer in the end, versus being siloed about that. So I was going to come back, Valerie, to your question about my role here, because it kind of dovetails back to what I was saying.
We took some twists and turns along the way here.
I know. Sorry, I'm never very. I like that.
I do too.
Love to travel. I do love to travel, actually.
Let's just take a quick pause so I can talk to you about our friends and great partners at Leadfeeder. Now picture this, you've got the power to spot companies lurking on your website. You can track their every move in real time and seamlessly sync it all with your CRM. That's how you stop playing hide and seek with those sneaky website visitors. And that's what Leadfeeder does. It's not just a tool, it's your secret weapon for unleashing the lead-generating beast within. But wait, there's more! Leadfeeder goes beyond the basics, giving you juicy insights into visitor behavior that would make any detective envy. And with customizable notifications, lead scoring, and GDPR compliance, you'll be closing deals faster than you can say, cha-ching! I don't know, do people still say that? But if you're ready to kick your lead game up a notch, visit leadfeeder.com for your free demo today. That's leadfeeder.com.
So my role is a little bit more unique than I've seen out there. It's Global Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer. And that's actually why I was so drawn to this, let alone the transformation agenda. Like, I love to live life on a startup curve. So that was really exciting. But the end-to-end remit, across developing and commercializing innovation was really exciting too. So I have I'm responsible for communications, both internal and external, customer insights and analytics. So we call that marketing science, kind of, again, going back to my engineering days, love that. And then I have brand and marketing excellence that covers integrated marketing as well, including events. That's a big driver for us. And then an in-house creative strategy team. I have the website and e-commerce, and treating that, really as a real revenue generating platform. Global philanthropy, so that it really builds not only our brand, but also serves our mission.
Are you guys a nonprofit?
We are.
Or no? You are. Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So philanthropy is important.
It is. And it's also important to make, help to all of our businesses have business and social impact that, we deliver to the world. But our philanthropic efforts also help contribute to that social impact. And then I have product innovation. And so our enterprise innovation team, which is really exciting because it's very AI capability generated. And then, of
We have
course,
to do a shot, by the way. Someone said AI, Valerie. We have to do a shot now.
it's only, I guess it's noon somewhere. We could do that. It's noon here. And then I also have, all the business demand generation teams, in the businesses and the markets that all form this big global marketing and innovation community.
Wow, so that must be like a team of like 10,000 people you manage. That sounds massive.
Yeah, I wish. It is a sizable team that all works collectively together. I'm super proud of the community that we've built, not only having COEs, centers of excellence, driving best practices, but also creating communities of practice that really bring those practitioners together to learn from each other. So we're not so bothered by, reporting lines. It's more about, we're driven by an ambition that we hold as, being a customer obsessed community to drive, with global, being global, then that's deliberate, global.
I thought you had something in your throat. No, it's not. Global. GLO. Okay.
Yeah, GLO. Global catalyst to drive sustainable growth and impact. It's funny that you say that though, Matt, because I did a town hall, and my chief information officer, Steve Santana, he's going to love that I just called him out on the Snarketing Podcast.
What's up, Steve?
Yeah. he thought I misspelled on my slide, and as I got onto the town hall, he changed global to global. And I was like, it threw me because I was talking. I was like, wait, who changed my slide? Clearly I didn't misspell that. It was intentional. So now I have it underlined so that we all keep that in front of us.
Well, now you've educated him, so that's perfect.
Well, and then I was just going to make one more little point, which is if it wasn't enough, and it's never enough, right? I'm so excited that I picked up another team in this transformation, and so as we're moving to look at employers and really bringing this impact to employers, I wear a second hat as the head of our corporate solutions division. So leading our workforce and P&L business there. And so that's super exciting because it's new spaces and bringing our our science of measurement and our expertise there to a whole new field.
So, like you mentioned, and forgive me if I got this wrong in remembering this, but you talked about you were solving for the business, then the brand, and then sort of innovation. Like, when did you start, and sort of what's working, and like what phase are you at in terms of, or is all of this sort of happening at once
No,
still?
well, it's always happening at once at some stage, right? But I think what I'm really glad that we did at ETS, and we have such a strong leader and leadership team that kind of rallied around this effort, was that we started with a strategic vision. So, of course, when I first came in, the first thing everyone asked is, "Oh, when are you going to change the logo?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't think that's why I was brought here, but maybe we might get to it," which we did. We did finally get.
Yes.
We started with a strategic vision of, well, in this transformation, what kind of business do we want to be, and let's set a vision for that before we go and transform the brand, because we'll have to build a future forward brand that meets that vision. And so that's some of the history I was telling you about, where we wanted to become a more skills first organization. Cognitive abilities are incredibly important, but it's not the only success driver, for people. And so to be able to have people really demonstrate their proficiency in skills, whether that's technical, durable, etc., is incredibly important to us. So moving from just an education testing industry and category that we play in to more of what we call a future ready category, where we're helping people thrive and adapt to that ever changing environment, is where we want to play. So once we had that vision set and helping to describe where we want to play and what customers we would want to go after. And it's complex, right? Because it's to governments, it's to employers, it's to individuals, it's to lifelong learners, it's to institutions, all those kinds of things. We had to then organize, well, how do we do that as a brand? Of course, innovation's always been important to us, so we weren't going to stop our innovation plans. But I think now that it's very clear where our strategic vision is going and where our brand transformation is going, now the innovation agenda can almost leapfrog, right? And kind of start to match where is it that we want to go in both of those cases.
So with that innovation mindset, maybe having cleared some of the institutional or legacy hurdles or roadblocks that may have been in place when you got there, what now, whether they are trends that you set or innovations that you are building or technology solutions that you are embracing, what do you foresee impacting the education and assessment sectors now in your next 5 years in this role?
Well, I think the primary one and the most important one, again, to deliver on our mission, is to utilize our expertise in advancing the science of measurement to power human progress. I mean, that's kind of our that is our brand promise, and where we can apply that science of measurement in ways that maybe others can't and don't have groundbreaking research, really to support it for validity of outcomes, is around skills and how we measure skills. And so, that's not multiple choice. That's not a multiple choice test, right? I mean, it's more situational. It's utilizing AI to help us not only first create those situational assessments, but also to help diagnose and analyze real, tangible insights that people and organizations can use to continue to develop skill proficiency, either for yourself, or to identify where the gaps are in your organization and build learning pathways for your and opportunities for your entire talent pool to progress as well.
How does that work with AI, by the way? Just like, do you create your own internal type of AI solution to inform, like using all the data that you have about your current testing and all of that, all the inputs and outputs?
Yeah, I mean, it's always an investment mix of of what we buy versus build versus partner.
Right.
I would say because we have a lot of incredibly talented AI engineers and NLP engineers and just talented people across all of our research groups, our innovation teams, our tech teams, our assessment op teams. We have built a lot, that has um, powered our products, and
Cool.
it's all backed by research. We have a lot of partners though too, and we really value those partnerships because we can cut down on build time,
Hmm.
but also utilize um, strengths from other parts of the industry that maybe
Sure.
we haven't invested in the past. So it is a mix.
So kind of switching to a bit about building effective teams because you've had a variety of different roles and across your tenure. And it sounds like now at ETS you have a ton of people that clearly have to kind of cross divisionally work together. So like what are the qualities that you prioritize when assembling a team?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think it's surrounding yourself by people who are smarter than you, because right,
Which
because
must be hard for you, to be honest.
it's very not
Seriously.
that but I love to be challenged, and I also love to learn. And so, I always find that I learn so much from the people that I surround myself with, whether that's internally on my organization or externally too. I try and be very involved in the industry for that reason. And I think to that point, I try and create work sessions versus presentations. And the reason I do that is because you're only going to get one perspective if you come and have it be a presentation to me, because I don't have all the answers. I can tell you what my thoughts are, but that doesn't mean they're right. And so, in fact, just before this podcast, I had my whole team, my whole lead team, and some of their key leaders reviewing a bunch of work, creative work, right? And so, again, it wasn't a presentation to me; it was a presentation to our group, and we treat that as a work session where everyone kind of pushes and pulls on the work, so that our customers, our internal customers actually, who we're delivering the work back to, we've done it ourselves first and critiqued ourselves before we put it in front of our customers. So that's one. The other one is about presence and ensuring that we're making everyone feel seen and heard, no matter what the medium is. And I mean, I'm so attuned to it now since COVID, and
Mm.
not only just being on video calls like this, but also in hybrid situations and having people around the world on your team. And so, making sure that that I'm looking for ways to make sure everyone's voice is heard. And when it's not, that I'm calling that out. And we're driving different formats or different things to do. So we have like virtual socials, for example, where we break out into team rooms and do fun things, and you get to meet people that maybe you haven't met from across the globe, stuff like that. I call that forced family fun. So right, so it's like
There might be some other F's that some people might include to the description if they have to.
but usually people come in with the attitude of, oh my God, I'm being forced to have fun. And then, just like I do with my family, I do the same thing. But you walk out of there going, actually, that was kind of fun. And I did meet someone
Yeah.
new, and I did learn something new.
Oh, I mean, I struggle with this concept of nature versus nurture when it comes to innovation. Like, can it be taught? Is it something that you can force out of people? But it sounds like you've built an environment that cultivates a culture of innovation, even if it's not necessarily in someone's DNA. Is
Right.
that something that you learned from someone else, somewhere else, or was that just part of your systems and processes that evolved out of your engineering background?
Probably yes, a little bit of the systems and processes. Also, I think I've even though I've worked for really big companies, I've always worked with like really scrappy teams. And I think that it's funny that you say that. Even thinking back to my college days, I was on the solar car racing team, which is crazy because we did actually race them. But I mean, these cars were like, or at least ours was, it was like held together by duct tape in most places. But
And powered by your sunny disposition, obviously.
exactly. Yeah. How did you know? That was the secret ingredient. But
Solar cars, that's what you need, sunny dispositions.
so, but like think, but we placed really well, but it really was because we thought beyond the boundaries of what we were given, and thought creatively about, well, how can we actually solve XYZ problems, and I think we did it because we were scrappy. And so even having big teams here, you don't always have the resources. Like, you can't go hire some big agency to go find the answer for you. You gotta be scrappy and figure it out yourselves. And being in the trenches, I think, with the team, being scrappy actually drives a culture of innovation, because you have to listen to what all the other ideas are of what people say, because you don't have any other ideas coming in, right? unless you're generating them.
Right, right. So interesting. So like if you were to give people, kind of summing up this, just what we've been talking about, like if you were to give people guidance on their career, if, advice to anyone aiming to transition from technical fields to marketing, what would what would be your thoughts?
Cool. I'm going to be snarky for a minute. Um,
Please.
I love it. I love it.
what,
Someone needs to.
I know, right? On one hand, one of the most frustrating things I think sometimes is that everyone feels like they can be a marketer. And right, like, I mean, the amount of of advice you get for doing things it can be annoying sometimes, because you're like, okay, people really don't know, and everyone thinks that there isn't a real um, value, I'm going to say, for the marketing profession. And I think a little bit of that is because we haven't, as a marketing industry, and we haven't laid out clear career paths for people. And what are those modern marketing skills that people need to have? And so, to go back to your question, Valerie, I think even though I use snarky first, the reality is, I think anyone can strive to be anything. It doesn't matter where you start. It's the vision of where you want to go, and building the right set of skills to get there. And so I think if you really do someday want to be a marketer, you want to be a business leader, or any of these other strategy leader or etc. I think technical backgrounds are a very strong place to start. Even though, we have an orange on our tree, it's not an apple, Matt. My daughter she's not going to be an engineer, but she wants to go into science. And the reason she does is because I think she sees like working with data, research, all those kinds of rational points helps to set a foundation for how you can be a business leader someday, or how you can help set strategy, etc. And so I would say lean into those technical fields, whether it's data science or engineering or science research or any of those pieces. You can have such impact in whatever field you want to go to, whatever business, whatever industry you want to go to, because those are transferable skills, such as creative problem solving, and leadership and data and analytics. All those things are going to prove worthwhile for you to meet your success goals.
Well, and you can't go in the alternative direction. I don't know many marketers who can become engineers. So if you're going to build on a strong foundation and then add to that.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
But I am rooting for your daughter, because I do think the world needs more science and data-driven leaders who are rooted in
truth.
Yeah, whatever's growing on that tree, like rooted in real. On that fun note, why don't we go to the lightning round? Can we do that?
It's kind of dark and gloomy outside. I just don't want lightning to hit me.
Well, we certainly don't want that. But as an engineer, you probably know that you are a conductor of electricity, right? So you should be careful. Okay, first question. What is your favorite engineering principle that you still think about like all the time or daily?
Okay, I've never been asked that question ever.
Nice one, Matt.
Wow,
so it's clearly not inertia.
No. I would say thermodynamics. That was one of my favorite classes, and I think it's because, like, some of the fundamentals like heat transfer, I feel like that's also like energy transfer. I like to energy is limitless, and so you can create energy.
I'm curious if you've ever like turned up the temperature in a conference room then as a result to like apply the inverse relationship between temperature and pressure and volume and all that, right? You thinking about those things or not really?
No, I haven't, but now you have me thinking about it.
There you go. Okay. What do you think is the most underrated skill for a marketer?
Underrated by who?
What is marketing? It's about audiences. So I guess who's your audience?
I don't know. Is it underrated by your CFO, your CEO,
Well, my CFO thinks he's a marketer. So that's a totally different story, coming back to your earlier point. But
boy, I could answer that a couple of different ways. I think I would go back to creative problem solving, right? Only because it's served me so well. And I think a lot of times people think marketers are creative, but not creative on the things that matter, right? So to have creative strategy, creative business solutions to problems, those kinds of things, I think are where we get underrated a little bit. And particularly, I know this is not answering you in a lightning round, but what I've seen across industries, like in CPG environments where marketers tend to be the business leaders, I think you see more of that creative problem solving come to bear. And in some other places where you're more tech focused and you get siloed into, marketing is more of a service to the businesses, and not part of the business. I think you see the opposite.
It was not a lightning round answer, but it was certainly a profound one. This one may be more of a lightning round answer. So ETS obviously has a very long-standing history in the standardized testing community and probably put number 2 pencils on the map. Now, as these testing scenarios happen more digitally, are you worried about the future of the number 2 pencil industry?
I have not given it any thought, and it has not let me not sleep.
Great
It's
answer.
not holding you back. Okay.
Great answer.
I feel, do you know what's the difference between a number 2 pencil and a number 4 pencil?
I don't know. Choose
You
better.
didn't, that wasn't like the first question you dug into when you got that job. Okay. More personally, how do you, given all the, just the daily grind of all the things that you're doing and building short-term and long-term, how do you unwind after a long day?
Are we going to publish this?
Whatever answer you feel comfortable sharing with our 17 listeners.
Well, you know what? I'm going to answer it in a different way. I probably do something that I enjoy, which is being around people. And so that might still be with the people that I work with because my day may be very, very long. But I answer it that way because, I actually don't buy into this work-life balance notion. I think it's a little boring because balance sounds super boring to me. And so I buy more into a notion of, doing things that are fulfilling. And so that might be work things that are super fulfilling, right? It might be personal things that are super fulfilling as well. And I've always, thought about doing the things that make you, that matter most and that you want to be extraordinary at. And, putting all your energy into those things.
And create even more imbalance, which it sounds like is a place where you thrive. So the last question, before we hit the record button on this, you were sharing and showing us some of your mood art cards. I don't know if they're cards or blocks or whatever they are, but now after almost an hour with us, what one card or piece of art best exemplifies your current mood? Can you pull one out and from this conversation? What do you feel right now?
Only in the stack. This stack is really snarkety though.
That's why we're asking it.
Oh, okay. I think I could have one. Hold on. This is a good one. This one.
And please read it aloud and describe the card for our non-visual audience.
Cards.
Yeah.
And where'd you get these mood cards? But as you're rummaging through to find the right one.
I actually got them on Amazon. They're from
I think that's
artist
a great
Wayne White. So,
all right, stocking stuffer, Hanukkah gift.
Yeah, they're really good. So here's what I would say: you guys are no shit the best.
Oh, thank you. As opposed to we don't know shit, which is sometimes how I like to think of us.
That is one way to interpret that card, but not.
Well, you know your shit, Michelle, and I thank you. And Valerie, I know you're grateful too. As we celebrate the holidays and think of the year ahead and the year behind, I am grateful that you are in our lives and look forward to spending more time with you in the future.
Thank you. Me too. Thanks, you guys are the best.
And that's a wrap on 2024. In our second season, we had 23 of the smartest, snarkiest marketing leaders in our industry. If you're counting, that's 37 overall in our 2 seasons. What a run! But we're just getting started. Thank you to our guests, our listeners, our partners, and our snarky hosts for a great year. And see you in a few weeks for season 3.